Today we are talking about how to charge as an influencer slash content creator. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Fumi Ford. I am a content creator, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, based out of Birmingham, Alabama, but she's a Niger babe, born in Nigeria. My channel is all things fashion, travel, beauty, and entrepreneurship. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please think about hitting that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of my community. And if you are one of my regular lovies, welcome back to Beyonce's Internet. I'm so excited to chit chat with you. Today we are taking off our fashion hat and we are putting on our entrepreneur hat in the playlist called Bunch of Creatives. Today we are talking about how to charge as an influencer slash content creator. One of the main questions I get as an influencer is, Fumi, how do I know how much to charge a brand? A brand emailed me and asked me for this, this, and this. How much do I send them and how much do I charge per post? If this is something you have been wondering about, or if you've been doing it for a while and you still don't understand how to charge yourself, listen, this is the video for you. Go ahead and grab a cup of coffee. Go ahead and grab your notepad and pen and let's get started. I am pulling out my handy dandy notebook, i.e. my cell phone. And we are going to go over different ways that influencers come up with their rate sheet. So this is going to be a very information heavy video. So please make sure you save it for later. Comment below any questions that you have, even before watching the video, so we can see if I answer any of them. And if I did not answer it, I'll go through the comments and make sure that I hit every question with a direct answer. But let's get started. When it comes to influencer marketing, money is such a taboo subject. I remember when I first started, I would reach out to my other fellow influencers and I would ask them, hey, a brand wants to repost my pictures. How much do I charge for it? Hey, a brand wants to use me for a campaign. How much do I charge for it? Hey, a brand wants me to do this deliverable and usage and whitelisting. What are these terms? And I would DM them and I would get crickets. Or I would say, hey sis, I see we're on the same campaign. How much are they paying you? And what are your deliverables? And literally I'd be left on red. Well, honey, the bus stops here. Because if a sis got it, I'm going to give it to you. Now, mind you, when it comes to your rates, let me put this disclaimer. Everybody figures out how much they want to charge separately. Everybody is individualistic in how they charge a brand. So I'm just giving you parameters, but of course you come up with your own rate sheet. But for me, knowing how to start is 90% of coming up with your rates. Now your rates will vary depending on your following, your engagement, and all of that. But if you at least know how to calculate it, then you have the framework to come up with an influencer rate sheet. So here's my first tip when coming up with your rate sheet before we get into how to come up with your rates. So you ask, what's an influencer rate sheet? A rate sheet is almost like your press kit, right? Or your media kit. It kind of breaks down your rates and how much you charge per item. When it comes to your rate sheet, I would say have tiers. I tell every influencer, don't just send them one rate, have tiers. So your platinum level is for, let's say platinum includes 2 blog posts, 1 Instagram post, 1 TikTok post, and usage right for 6 months. That's the platinum. Let's say the gold is 1 blog post, 1 Instagram post, and 1 TikTok video. That's your gold. And then the last one is maybe silver, or however you want to rate it. tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, does not matter, but come up with a 3-tier system, name it whatever you want to name it, and put the different things that come with each tier. So what deliverable comes with the gold? What deliverable comes with the platinum? What deliverables come with the silver? Make sure that you have it written out and you have a lump sum for each tier. What happens is when you send it to the brand, they're able to pick. Let's say they want the gold. Let's say they want the silver. Let's say they want the platinum. They're able to pick out of 3 instead of 1. They're more likely to say, hey, I want the silver, but maybe let's bring this deliverable down and bring the price here. Instead of you just having one rate and they're like, well, no, we can't even afford the one rate, or having one rate and then they debate you back and forth about the one rate that you have. If you have 3 different tiers for pricing yourself, they're able to pick and choose. It's like a menu at a restaurant. You don't want too many things, but you want to make sure there are options for the brand to pick from. So an influencer rate sheet would include maybe 3 tiers that a brand can pick from when it comes to the menu of deliverables and the pricing for each deliverable. For your rate sheet, 1, make sure that it's branded, which means that the colors are in line with the brand colors that you have set for yourself, the colors that are on your Instagram, the colors that are on your website, and the colors that are on your brand sheet should be about the same because you're branding yourself around these colors. Make sure that there are options, which I've talked about. There are 3 different tiers that they can pick from. And then make sure that there are statistics. Right up top on this rate sheet, you will see that I have statistics on how many monthly impressions that I get. Again, this is not my rate sheet. The next thing you want to do is calculate. You want to make sure that you calculate prices that's not pricing you too high up, but that you are making money in line with the content you put out, the followers you have, the engagement you have, and any deliverables, amount of deliverables that they want from you. So calculating your price is so important. And let's get into the nitty-gritty of how to calculate your price. So the first tip for calculating your price is one that I say is so important. Following is not the end all be all. Yes, are you able to charge more if you have more followers? Yes, of course. But also understand that your content matters, your engagement matters, your clicks matter. There's so many things that go into your pricing besides followers. A lot of times we think, oh, I can't charge, I don't have enough followers. Sis, if you are putting out great content, if you are consistent, and if you have an engaged audience, you can charge for your content. I got my first paid brand sponsorship at 3,000 followers. So don't believe that you need 10,000. You need the swipe up. FYI, they got rid of swipe up. Now it's just a tab. And I don't know if it's rolled out to everybody, but you don't need 10,000 followers to be able to do the sticker tab. So listen, you don't need 10,000 followers to charge your worth in gold. You just need to make sure that you're putting out great quality content and that your audience is engaged in the content that you're putting out. So that's the first tip. Throw that out of your mind. The second tip you want to do is check out different sites that help you figure out what your rates are. Now, these sites take the rates with a grain of salt because they rate so low, but they do help give you an idea of what other people or what the industry is charging per post. FOHR is a great one. They give you a press kit or a media kit for free, and they will tell you how much to price yourself as an influencer per post. Again, it's pennies on the dollar, so do not take their word for it, but at least you'll get an idea. Another site that's great for this is #paid. They actually give you a little map that kind of shows you what other people are charging or what other brands are accepting for the work that they want you to do. So I love hashtag paid. It's an influencer platform, and I love their little rate sheet. Again, I take the rate sheet with a grain of salt, but it's a really great roadmap so that I don't outprice myself outside of that website. The next tip is when a brand reaches out to you, ask them if they have a budget for the deliverables. Now, I know a lot of people are like, oh, don't ask for a budget. Already have your rates. Yes, sis, already have your rates in mind. But also, when they reach out to you and they're like, Fumi, I want 2 Instagram posts, 6-month usage, and 3-month exclusivity, how much would that be? I asked them, do you have a budget for this campaign? If they come back and say, hey, I want your rates, that's fine, because I already have my rates. Now, if you don't have your rates, don't ask them about a budget, because it's just going to be a back and forth. They're like, what's your budget? You're like, what's your rate? You're like, what's your budget? You're like, what's your rate? It just makes you seem like you don't know what your rates are. So first, have your rates in mind, but don't be afraid to ask them what their budget is. And then when they tell you, you can negotiate from that budget that they're giving you. I cannot tell you how many times I was going to undersell myself until I asked them for the budget. And when they sent the budget, I was like, say less. That will work for me. So ask them what their budget is, but make sure you have your rate in mind. So I know you're like, Fumi, get to the good part. How do I come up with this number? Let's talk about the 5 ways to come up with a number that's going to work for you and the content that you're putting out, but then that's also going to work for that brand. The first is your follower count. I cannot sit here and say follower count does not matter. It matters. There's certain campaigns that they won't even accept you unless you have 100,000 or 10,000 or 5,000 followers. So follower count does matter, but it's not the end all be all. The second one you want to think about is your engagement rate. Let's say you have the followers. What's the engagement rate of your followers? Are they engaging in the content that you put out? The way to calculate your engagement rate is dividing the average number of likes and comments by your follower count. And I'm going to put it right here down below. And if it's a great engagement rate, that's a selling point for you. I'm going to put a picture right here that kind of tells you what your engagement rate should be depending on the amount of followers that you have. So if you are above that engagement rate, when a brand reaches out to you, you tell them, hey, by the way, my engagement rate is 20%. By the way, my engagement rate is 50%. That's really good. And so a brand can know that your followers love, trust, and actually engage in the content that you have. Again, the fewer amount of followers that you have, the higher your engagement rate is going to be. That's just standard. So this list right here should help you know where you should fall in your engagement rate. And if your engagement rate is not that high, it's okay. You can always bring it up. You have to teach your followers to engage in your content. And the number one way that you do it is with CTA, and that's a call to action. All your posts should have a call to action, right? Ask them a question. Make sure that your call to action is in the beginning of your caption. So if you have a video or a reel with your outfits, ask them which look is your favorite. That causes them to want to engage in your content. And we can do a video on that later. We're not gonna get deep into that because we really want to talk about money, money, money. You see I'm wearing green from money today. So make sure that you figure out what your engagement rate is, and then you can kind of work with the brand. And if it's a great engagement rate, let them know off top. My audience is engaged, sis. The next one is knowing your demographic. So if a brand is reaching out to you and they're looking for a certain age group, a certain race, a certain ethnicity, a certain region, knowing your demographic is going to be so important, because if they're looking for African American women between the ages of 25 and 35, and that is your bread and butter, honey, charge. Because you're looking for what you have. You can look at your demographics and your statistics if you have a business page on Instagram. And if you don't have a business page, please go ahead and switch over to a business page if you are thinking about becoming a content creator. They give you so much free analytics when you are a business. So make sure you know what your demographic is. And if a brand is specifically looking for that demographic, you can tell them, hey, that's me. I'm your girl. I can get those eyes on your brand and on your product. The next thing is make sure that you are putting out good quality content and that you're consistent. And we've talked about this over and over again. Make sure that you're consistent. It's not blurry pictures. It's not far away grainy pictures. It's not video that we don't understand what's happening. Because what happens is if a brand wants to work with you, they have to be able to go to your page and see themselves on your page. And so if you're consistently putting out good quality content, they're going to trust you, and you're going to be able to justify why you're charging what you're charging when you send them that rate sheet. And then the last thing you want to make sure that's a part of calculating that rate is your talent fee. And this is something a lot of influencers don't think about, but make sure that you're building your talent fee into your work. So how many hours does it take you to create one video? How many hours does it take you to create one image? How many hours does it take you to slide on that makeup, slide on that wig, travel? I know a lot of influencers that also build into it babysitting, because it's a job. Like, I'm a mom. A lot of us have to find a babysitter, pay a babysitter to be able to watch our kids so that we can create the content. So make sure that you are putting all of that into your fee, as well as, are you paying a photographer? Do you have to pay licensing to that photographer? That all needs to be in your mind as you're coming up with your rate sheet. All right, now that we have sort of like the roadmap of what we should keep in our mind when we're thinking about how much we charge ourselves, here's a quick formula that's going to help you. Now, again, influencers charge however much they want to charge. Everybody has kind of their own formula. But I know when I first started, this helped me out so much. It gave me a roadmap on how to begin to even come up with a price that worked for me. So the first formula to calculate, and I actually got this from later, I'm going to put them right here, and that is $100 per 10,000 followers. So what you want to do is figure out how many followers that you have. Let's say you have 20,000 followers. That is $200 per post. Now, that is your base rate. Again, that does not include whitelisting. That does not include exclusivity. That does not include usage and paid usage. That is, and licensing. That does not include that at all. That is just based off your followers. How you make a lot of money is with those extra add-ons. So when I think about my fee or my rates, I think about it like a pizza. The base is literally just the crust with marinara. I mean, you can eat the crust with marinara, but it ain't gonna taste the same till you put the cheese, the sausage, the pepperoni. Until you put the toppings, it's really just bland. So when it comes to figuring out your rate, the base rate, it's just the crust, nothing else. How you build on that pizza is adding usage, whitelisting, exclusivity, paid usage, all of that, licensing with your photographer. That's where the money comes in. Let me say that again. The money resides in the toppings. So later it's saying that it's $100 per 10,000 followers, but that's just your base rate. So figure out what that base rate is based off of your followers, and then the toppings come on, and you can add more money on with everything else that goes along with the deliverables. So I hope that makes sense. If it does, just give me a thumbs up in the comments, or ask any questions. If it does not make sense, I will answer it after this video is live. The second way, and the way that I do it, is 4% of my following. that is my base rate. So let's say, for example, you have 10,000 followers. 10,000 times 4% is 400 per post. That's my base rate. That would be your base rate if you had 10,000 followers. So for me, at 70,000 followers, it's going to be $2,800 as my base. That is without whitelisting, usage, exclusivity, or any of that beautiful, beautiful topping that goes on top of that pizza. So those are the two easy ways that you can calculate your rate sheet that you can send to brands when they ask you how much you charge per post. Again, everybody does it differently. You can do it however you want to do it, but I'm just giving you two ways that I know that different influencers do it. I am putting to the side a rate sheet from Later. Later is such a great source of information for influencer marketing. Definitely check them out. I'll put the link down below, but you can see how much they say that the industry charges per following. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Come up with the rate that works for you. Whether you use the first formula I gave you or the second formula I gave you, figure out which one works for you and go with it. When it comes to the different terms that I talked about in charging, there's whitelisting. Whitelisting is when you post on your page and then a brand goes behind the scenes through Facebook and boosts it on your page. You can charge for whitelisting. You can definitely charge for whitelisting. What you want to do is maybe ask them how long they want to whitelist and how much their budget is when it comes to whitelisting. A lot of people charge 2 to 4% of the budget of the brand. I love whitelisting because they are actually boosting it from your page, so you actually gain followers and exposure because you're actually bringing people to your page, but you can charge for it. The next thing is usage, and that's when a brand wants to use your image either on their website, either on their email blast, on their social media shares. Ask them where they want to use your image and for how long, and you can charge for that. The next one is paid usage, and that's when the brand wants to put money behind your image. Now, your image is probably going to be posted on their social media page, but they will put money behind it from either from their website or from their Facebook or from their Instagram, and you can definitely get paid for that. So ask them if they're going to do paid usage, how long they're going to do paid usage for. And then the last is exclusivity, and that's when a brand tells you, hey, we don't want you working with any competitors in the 6 months that you are working with us. Sis, charge for it. You want to think about is how much money are you losing by not being able to work with the competitors for those 6 months, and then add that to the fee that you send them. All of these things I have in a blog post that I'll link down below. One is influencer terms that you should know, and then the other one is how to charge as an influencer. I really hope this video worked and helped in some way. I know it was very information heavy, so if you have any questions, please comment down below and let me know and I will answer it. I hope that you enjoyed this chit chat with me. If you are not a part of my community, definitely think about hitting that subscribe button. And if you're one of my regular lovies, thank you for chatting with me again. I love you guys and I will see you soon. Bye.